good morning and welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk and welcome to another Friday edition. We're glad you're here. You ready to roll into the weekend there, Pat? It's like you know it.
Hey, you caught me right in the middle of my breakfast. What's going on here?
Okay.
Well, I thought between 7 and 10 is the middle of his breakfast.
Pretty much.
It depends who brings what.
Exactly. All right, so let's roll into some market stats, and then we'll talk a little bit about Florida becoming one of the least affordable states in the nation. How long have I been talking about this, Leo?
Are you really surprised?
No, but how long have I been talking about this? I'm just saying.
Like 2 years. But we did predict a decline that never happened.
Well, no, that's not just us. And at some point where it's going to be a dip, right?
Yeah, we talked about it like 2 years ago, like coming into this next year, which would have been 2020. We're like, we're going to predict a dip. Never happened.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody could have predicted what happened with COVID.
But in 2018, we also said going into 2019, there'd be a dip. It never happened.
Well, you know, that goes to the point that you can't predict the market. You can't time the market. You can't time stocks. You know, you got to be in it for the long haul. So the people that are in it for the long haul are doing pretty well right now.
Those are the Dogecoin millionaires.
Yeah. Don't start with the Dogecoin.
I love the Dogecoin. It's the cutest Bitcoin.
All right, so let's run through some of these stats. So 3 counties, single-family homes in Hillsborough County, Pasco County, and Pinellas County. Number of new listings is only 653, 7-day trend. The number of pending home sales is a whopping 1,230.
So there's twice as many
Pending's way
homes.
high.
There's twice as many homes being put under contract than there is going on the market. I don't see how that was sustainable.
And sold is 873, so that's still larger than the new listings. Let's talk about the stats for all properties. And for 3 counties, this would include any type of property. So condos, townhomes, villas.
Vacant land?
No, does not include vacant land. Thanks
Okay.
for bringing that up, Leo. The number of new listings, 2,106. It also doesn't include multifamily, like a duplex, triplex, or quad.
I'm still trying to get a grasp on what we were reporting before versus what we're reporting now. This number is...
What we were reporting the whole time.
Yeah.
All properties for sale, single family.
So you're saying
not multifamily, no land.
So you're saying this 2,000 is basically twice what would be normal, what we would be reporting?
Your question does not make sense. Say it again.
Okay, so a month ago...
Yes.
You're saying that number of 2,000 would have been what would... Because it still seems a little high. I think we're reporting more now than we were before.
And I think there's a little bit more inventory. But yeah, these numbers do.
Yeah, they still don't make sense.
Again.
Let's
I'm
just
going to need to
stick
pull these myself.
Let's just stick with the single-family homes.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Something
confuse the
changed.
listeners.
Something changed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In the MLS. But nonetheless, I mean, we've been talking about this every time. When you're somebody like me, you have your thumb on the market. We have one we just activated last night. We get blown up literally the second it goes on the market.
How many offers did you get?
I don't know. We don't look at that between, 5 o'clock when it's updated and 7 a.m. the next day when we're coming on the air. We just wait, get some showings in there.
So could we get some update by 9 a.m. saying how many, you put a brand new listing up and how many offers you got?
No one's been in it yet. There's no showing until today.
Yeah, but like even the stock market, I can buy and sell stocks after hours.
Well, that's what we call a blind offer, and we would not be inclined to take a blind offer.
I'm just curious how many you received.
More blind offers than not back out. Right, because the as is with the right to inspect contingency. So we don't want to put the seller in that position where they think, "Oh, my house is sold." No, it's not sold. Oh, it's back on the market. Like it's frustrating for the seller, right? Because they spend all this time to get the home ready for market. They're ready for people that are coming through, and then
it's like hosting a dinner party that no one shows up to.
And then they show up a week later. Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not something someone wants to do. So let's talk about Tampa Bay Business Journal's report where they said Florida is becoming one of the least affordable states in the nation, which we kind of knew, right? We have all of New York, New Jersey, Chicago, and many other places.
I think back to my MBA courses in economics, and it's all about supply and demand. And if the demand far outseeds the supply, the prices go up.
That's right.
So
basic economics, 101.
That's basic economics. I just wish the government would understand that. But anyway, basic economics.
It is. So a recent report from Quote Wizard, which is where Tampa Business Journal got it from, they're a Seattle-based insurance market owned by Lending Tree. They evaluated each state's affordability. So to do that, they also compared each state's change in the median income and the median house price, states with the largest difference in housing cost, and income ranked at the top of the list. So Florida ranked 17th as being the least affordable state. We were one of the most affordable, if you remember, a while back. And the state's median income for workers has risen 99.3%, and that's a difference of 70.6 points, or roughly 213,723 since 2012.
Those numbers didn't make any sense to me. So the
So
median
basically,
home price has risen 99%. So basically, it's doubled.
No, they're talking about the income.
That's the median income. So what is the median income?
So, well, they reported 2012. I don't think the new one is actually reported
See,
yet.
that doesn't make any sense. So the median income for, you're saying a family of 2 income winners is bringing in $200,000 a year.
They're saying we've seen the 10th largest increase in median home prices, while the 17th largest median income increase. So what they're saying is money is moving to Florida. There's a couple places you can track this, including the IRS website, and you can look on there to see where money moves. And they will actually show you, and they do it based on filings, right? So literally, if people moved last year, you're going to see that. I think you're going to see an even bigger difference next year, right? When people file, you'll see a little bit from last year in a COVID year, but I think you'll see more.
Well, we get an extra month this year. We don't have to file until the 15th of May, I think.
I don't know. Did they give us an extra month?
That's
my stuff's done, so I don't know.
read my daily funnies, and they were all talking about the 1-month
did hear
extension.
that. So
Yeah.
business, it was the same, but personal returns were extended.
That's
right? Like
what
a
I
month?
believe, but don't
I think
quote
that
me.
was true as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, the IRS data is pretty good, but again, it could be, a year delayed. So I'm thinking about just people that we're working with, that are on the significant upper end, like 1 million plus in terms of the house they buy. A lot of those people have businesses in other states that they're trying to figure out how they can run it remotely, how they can run it without them, and, make this transition as they move to Florida. So I think it's going to continue to follow. I mean, I've said forever, I think we're going to be like California.
I have breaking news for you, Katrina.
Okay, what's that?
The personal federal income tax deadline is actually May 17th, 2021.
Well, you got some extra time. Look at that.
Got a whole extra month.
Well, didn't you say the 15th a second ago?
I just gave you 2 more days.
Not me. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
I gave the public 2 more days.
I think that's so strange, though. Like, literally, if you're going to give the public extra time, why wouldn't you give business an extra month to file, too? That's what didn't make sense.
Oh, no, it makes perfect sense.
Do tell.
Well, see, most people overpay on their withholdings every paycheck, so you're basically giving the government a free loan.
Yeah,
so by
that extra month.
extending it an extra month to file is an extra month the government doesn't have to give you the money back that you overpaid.
But don't the people usually that are getting a refund file early and the ones that are going to be paying money file a little bit later? Isn't that kind of like historically the way things go?
People are people, and the majority of people wait till the end to do their taxes, wait till the last weekend, wait till the last 2 weeks. Even if they're getting a refund, they still wait.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've ever thought about selling, or like if it's been on your radar, it's a really good time to at least see what your home is worth and explore some options. If you're considering wanting to like downsize or upsize or relocate to a different area, even within Tampa Bay, and you're trying to figure out how to make that all happen when you likely may need the equity from the sale of your home, we can help. And so if you call or text VALUE to 813-377-2775, we'll give you a free report on your home's value. We'll pull everything within your neighborhood and some very good comparable home sales to give you an idea of what it can sell for. We'll also do a room-by-room review to tell you how to get the most amount of money in your pocket without selling to, one of the iBuyer model people without telling them by name. So don't fall into the easy button. You will leave thousands and thousands and thousands on the table. All right. This is Tampa Home Talk. Our off-air number. Call or text if you'd like information.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. Make sure you don't go anywhere, because when we come back from the break, we have
Mr. Dave DeCamilla. Do I have that right?
That's right.
CBI with Trans World Business Advisors. We were having a whole Tesla conversation off the air before we even got introduced.
What's a CBI?
We're going to find out. We come back right after the break, and we're going to dive in a little bit more to what he does, and I'm excited to hear all about it. I have a feeling that this is something that everybody needs, so stick around. We'll be back in just a moment right here on Tampa Home Talk. Again, our off-air number, 813-377-2775. We'll be back in a moment.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. This is Tampa Home Talk with Leo Kane from Beryl Engineering and Inspection. Katrina's in the next room, so I'm just going to take over the whole hour here. And we are joined with Dave DeCamilla, CBI with Trans World Business Advisors. Okay, now I get to ask, what is a CBI?
CBI is a certified business intermediary.
Okay, what's that?
It's a really intense program that we have. There's very select brokers that have it. A lot of teaching, a lot of schooling to achieve it. But it's a lot of based on how to value businesses.
Okay, so So Trans World Business is M&A, which is mergers and acquisitions,
Yep.
that sort of thing?
Main Street as well.
Okay, so so you do the valuation. So what are some of the services that Trans World can do to provide other businesses?
So we provide, we go from A to Z as far as if you're looking to sell your business, we provide, that knowledge. So we value the business itself, we market the business, and we find the right buyer.
So how do you evaluate your business worth? I've heard things like you use EBITDA and you use book value.
Okay, don't be doing that on the air.
EBITDA.
What does that mean?
Okay, EBITDA is like a proper noun at this point, but it does stand for earnings before income and taxes.
I know, but you need to break that down really for the listener.
Interest and taxes.
Turn him up.
So valuation, we could talk about that honestly for a month. There's a lot involved.
There's a lot of different ways, right, to value a business
There's
as well?
a lot of different ways. And you can go on Google and you can say, what's my business worth? And like you said, it's a multiple of EBITDA, multiple of EBIT, multiple of seller discretionary earnings. But just to preface, I just read an article the other day about valuation and what's needed. There was the top 10 most important things to do or to have before you sell your business. And number 1 was books and records. Number 2 was books and records. And number 3 was books and records. So number 4 through 10 obviously were something different, or else nobody would have read the article. But they just stressed the importance that books and records is a huge deal when it comes to evaluating your business.
No, when you're going to sell a business, is that part of, do people usually plan that several years in advance?
Yep.
And then I guess what I'm going to say is a lot of businesses, everybody knows that basically they may not have the correct books and records, right? Or the owner may be funneling some cash somewhere else. So this is about cleaning up the books, right? And making it perfect so they can get a higher valuation when they sell? Is that part of what you do?
Basically, yes. Sometimes we put our advisor cap on and say, it's probably not the right opportunity to sell right now. Here's what we would suggest, and call me in a year or two, or whatever the time frame is. But it just depends. A lot of people are looking to retire. Some people are looking to move. There might be some kind of force for them to sell the business immediately.
Yeah, and give me an example of some of the recent businesses that you that would force them to move. Anything related to COVID last year?
Well, a lot of it is retirement. People are moving. Some people don't want to deal with COVID. A lot of partnership disputes. There's a variety of ways people are selling, but moving is a big factor.
Well, let's face it. A lot of businesses last year with COVID had to pivot, right?
Yep.
We saw painting companies that pivoted and started making hand sanitizer.
Yep.
That's a prime example of a major pivot, right?
And that was
to stay
also
alive.
scary, thinking that they had to do very little to go from making paint to making a substance that kills everything.
Well, paint's also protection for your house, right?
Yeah, from water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just keep going.
On the outside.
Keep going.
Go ahead, Leo.
Did I trip you up? Did I trip you up?
No, you didn't. I'm just waiting for you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a business owner. I'm thinking about selling. I need to get my business valuated. What all goes into that process?
Well, kind of like we talked about it, but it's at the end of the day, it's a multiple of what the bottom line is. So what somebody can take home, what could they put in their pocket? And so there's a variety of ways. You can do a multiple of, like you were saying, EBIT, EBITDA. There's discretionary earnings. There's owner benefit, adjusted net. But it's basically the cash flow of the business. Yeah, so we look into financial statements, and we'll kind of divide it up and find out if there's any discretionary expenses or non-business related expenses that might be written in there. We'll add that back to the bottom line. If there's an owner's salary that you take, there's somewhat of a formula to get to there. But once we get that specific number, then it comes to the multiples.
What do most of those look like? Do a lot of them, especially if the business has been around for a long time, do a lot of them want the existing ownership to stay in for a year before they exit? Or like, what's common?
Yeah, it depends on the industry. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, here's the keys, because it's easy to train.
So if it's like a laundromat, obviously, here you go.
Yeah.
But it also limits your financing vehicles, because I've heard that if you're going to use like an SBA loan to buy a business, the owners can't stay on.
Right. And so there's a variety of things out there. But yeah, as far as staying on, it depends on how intense the business is. If the owner is fully involved and it's going to be a very big detriment that he leaves or he or she leaves, then they're going to stay on board. And that's part of the negotiating process too. Yeah, you stay on for X amount of months or years.
So that brings me to my next question. If I'm a business owner and I'm crucial to the operations, and if I leave, it takes 2 to 3 people to replace me, how does that all factor into the valuation?
Well, you got to understand. I mean, first, whoever
Talking about me or you?
inquires, whoever inquires about the business is more than likely going to have that knowledge. They're coming from somewhere else, and it's kind of like homes. I mean, there's people coming from all over the place.
Yeah.
I just met with somebody from New Jersey yesterday, and then the day before was Minnesota. And
So are they the people you're talking to? Are they moving here looking to buy a business?
yeah,
That's what I figured.
yeah. A lot of the states are still closed now, right? So the people from New York and California and everywhere else, they're saying, hey, let's move to Florida, and I've owned a restaurant before and want something that's already existing.
So have you seen the number of opportunities actually go diminish or be smaller in terms of the number of business available to purchase?
We're about 25-30% down. I've been doing this over 10 years now, and in the Tampa Bay area, there's always a ton of opportunity, but now it's limited.
Well, I've heard that because cash is so easy to get now, not for me, not for the normal people, but since if you're a business, cash is so easy to get, that a lot of venture capitalists are trying to buy up as many companies as possible. Is that what you're seeing on the market?
Yeah, of course. And with the SBA, they're giving away the farm. I'll chat about that real
isn't
quick.
it?
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a good topic.
Yeah, so if a business qualifies with SBA, Small Business Administration, to get a loan, you put 10 or 20% down and purchase the business. But what they're doing is they're giving away 6 months principal and interest payments. Plus they're waiving the guarantee fee, which is usually 2.5-3% of the loan.
Wow.
There's other factors, but I mean, the government's giving you money and they're paying 6 months in payments. They did this program last year and everyone went crazy. And now they just reinvented it now. And if you buy a business and it qualifies for SBA, you have to close before the end of September, but you'll qualify for those benefits.
I have kind of a generic overview question, and you can say, oh, yeah, it's not applicable now or whatever, but I always heard that, like, from a business purchase perspective, that, like, laundromats and, like, RV parks and mobile home parks were super profitable, really low, I guess, in terms of hands-on ownership.
Yeah. And
Low involvement, high return. Is that
right,
accurate?
yeah, and those are kind of semi-absentee to absentee, so a lot of people love laundromats, right? They like the RV parks and storage facilities.
Are there even many of those available? Or are they still hot things to buy?
It's difficult to find in the area. Yep.
Yep. So what are some of the businesses selling right now? Like, do you have an influx of certain type of businesses? Like, is there a lot of restaurants after COVID, or like, what are you seeing? I know you said that they're down 25%.
Yeah, there's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of, we've sold a ton of manufacturing, distributing, but little one-offs. I just sold a golf club fitting business, and there was a cleaning supply distributing kind of warehouse. So there's a ton of different opportunities out there.
So where do you start with somebody moving into the area, and they say, I've been an entrepreneur for so long, our state is shut down, I don't have any opportunity here, so I'm moving to a state where it's open, right? I'm sure you hear that.
Yeah.
How do you figure out what's a good match and where they should start? I mean, obviously, I imagine it's based a little bit on skill set, but where do you start?
Yeah, we ask them what they've done in the past. Have you owned a restaurant before? Yes. Okay, great. Well, let's look into restaurants. Have you not owned one before? Okay, let's probably not get into it. Right? So what's your background? What's your experience? And then kind of factor in what's available out there in the market.
Do you guys as brokers ever see like businesses you're like, wow, this is an incredible profit, right? And we don't know anything about it, but it's a good opportunity for someone.
Oh yeah. There's a ton of that.
Do you have one of those right now you want to share?
Well, you have to have the specific knowledge. So there's a big AC business. There's a nice size plumbing business as well, but you got to be in the contractor side.
Got it. Well, and then I would love to talk about what it would cost and what the numbers and the dynamics would look like to actually buy a business. Like, do you need SBA involvement? Does the owner ever hold back? How much cash do they need? Maybe we can chat about all of that when we come back right after the break.
Sounds great.
Sounds good? Anything else?
813-377-2775. If you've got a business or restaurant you're looking to sell, looking to make some cash.
Or buy.
Make sure you text broker to 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. We'll come back and ask the hard questions to Dave about how we can prepare a business for selling.
He's CBI with Transworld Business Advisors. Stick around. This is Tampa Home Talk, and we're going to find all about how to do this when we come back right after the break. Stick around.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Leo Kane here with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, talking with Dave from Transworld Business Advisors. So,
look at that. You can read my handwriting.
I have good memory too.
Your what?
Good memory.
Yeah. So that you can't read my handwriting. It's all about the memory. Got it.
Got it.
Remember what I asked him before the break, or did you forget?
I already forgot.
See, you're not paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
Uh-huh. What'd I say? I bet Dave remembers.
It's a boring topic, huh?
No, not really.
So,
I was asking about people moving here, right?
Yeah, that was way before the break.
No, I know, but he didn't actually talk about it. Like, I was saying, if their state is shut down and they're moving here, what kind of opportunities are people looking for? Like, even if they're not educated in the space, and we were talking about some of the things he's seen. Remember?
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about, depending on what their experience is, what they've done in the past, and kind of relate it to the businesses that are available now. But I think you were asking as far as what to prepare as far as if you're looking to sell your business itself. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the article about books and records, and it's huge. And that opens up the door to a lot of different opportunities. Because when you go into, what's the value worth, as far as getting financed through a bank, they're going to say, what's the past 3 years of tax returns? And let me see what that true bottom line is for the next buyer. And so is the cleaner, the better as far as the books and records, just to qualify for that SBA.
And that's what we were talking too about the money to buy. Like, do they have to have cash? How much cash do they need? Are people mostly going SBA, or is the seller ever holding short-term notes?
Yep. It just depends on the opportunity. So SBA usually is 10 or 20%, but there's a lot of seller holdback. So if you can come in, there's businesses for sale for $20,000, and there's some for in the millions. And so if a business is selling for $100,000, sometimes there is that seller financing opportunity where they hold, let's just say half down. So in that opportunity, you would need $50,000 up front, and then the seller would finance the additional $50,000.
So what kind of businesses sell for between $20,000 and $50,000?
That's what I was thinking too.
That sounds pretty cheap.
What's somebody buying? What's the return on that investment?
Yeah, little cafes, little hair salons, little just if you go down in the little retail plazas, you'll see a ton of little stuff. The bagel shop just down the road, right? I mean, there's those are a lot of opportunities that sell for $100,000 or less.
And so what's the return on that investment? Like, how long does it take someone to recoup their cash?
That goes more into multiples, and it depends on the industry, depends on where the sales are at. But you're probably in the neighborhood of, generally speaking, 1.5 to 2 times the earnings.
And so there's no timeline or ideal timeline to recoup that investment?
Yeah, usually 1.5 to 2 times. So if you're
So
if
within
you're
a couple
selling
years.
something for $100,000, you're probably cash flowing close to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And so within a year and a half or 2 years, you'll recoup that.
Got it.
So if I'm selling a business for basically 2 years of earnings up front, that's just because I want to get out or I want to do something else. So that's not really like, I think I sell my business for like 5 to 10 times what it's worth, and I've got a decade's worth of money piled up, but that's not what you're seeing out there.
Well, let's talk about that real briefly. So when it comes to multiples, we're talking 2 times, and then you said 3, 4, 5 times. It depends on that industry. It depends on if you're doing $1 million in sales or under, it's probably closer to that 2 times. If you're doing 5 million plus, then that's more of an M&A type transaction. That gets into the 3, 4, 5 times.
What is M? We said M.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So a strategic type buyer. So, but it all depends.
So
if I'm a business owner, it sounds like if I wake up tomorrow and say I'm going to sell my company, I'm kind of too late. So how far in advance do I need to be prepping my mode of spending, my books? How long does that take? Like I want to sell my company in 2020 X. What X?
well,
would be
every
good?
seller wants more money, right? In the
Well,
least
yeah.
amount of time.
But yeah, but what do I need to be? How soon do I need to be organizing my business for sale?
Yeah, everyone wants to sell at the peak, and who knows when that's going to be. But usually 2 or 3 years would be in a perfect scenario. But a lot of sellers say, hey, I need to move, or this is going on, and I found another place up here, so I need 6 months,
Yeah.
or 12 months. And it usually takes anywhere from 6 to 8 months, just on any given average, to sell a business. Sometimes my record's 3 days, so we'll see if that's been beat. But sometimes it takes a year. It's just the stars have to align, depending on that kind of industry.
So, I just curious question for you, Leo. Like, if you think about exiting your business, do you think you would sell, or do you think you'd more like replace yourself?
No, definitely sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious.
I mean, my business pretty much runs itself to a large extent. There are a couple of key hires we need to do, but it runs itself. What I see happening, though, is if I completely left the business, what we'd actually lose out on is strategic growth. The business would keep running, but it wouldn't grow, wouldn't create new divisions. It wouldn't. That's what I bring to the table.
Right.
But the business itself runs itself. I know when I've been looking to acquire engineering firms or things of those, or inspection firms, I'm basically buying jobs. The owner wants to retire, but when the owner retires, there's nothing there. It's considered goodwill. You want to explain what goodwill is on a business transaction?
Yeah, so there's, as far as assets, there's furniture, fixtures, equipment, there's inventory, and then there's the goodwill, and that's kind of just the blue sky, something you can't touch or feel. I mean, that's all the cash flow.
Your reputation,
Right.
within the community, that sort of stuff.
And that stuff starts depreciating rapidly the second the owner leaves, though.
Yeah. How much value does it actually have, and does it vary from one business to the next?
Well, it's all based on cash flow, but you're talking about allocating those. So if you sell a business itself, you've got to allocate a portion of it towards the equipment, towards the goodwill, and then you can depreciate based off of that.
Is real estate owned within the company? Is that backed out a lot from business, or is it often included?
No, it's usually a lot of them is leased, but there's a lot of opportunities where you have a building and they want to sell it, including, or it's available at least.
Right.
But a lot of the time, I'd say 80-90% of the time it's leased.
Yeah, most businesses, it might be leased to the same owner, but a lot of time businesses won't own their actual business. They want to keep the building. They want to keep the two assets separate on paper.
Right.
Right. So what advice do you have for someone looking to sell a business? Like, what can someone do to really prepare before they even get to you?
Yeah, I know I've stressed it a couple times, books and records. It's a huge thing. We talked about SBA getting approved with them, but besides the fact, let's just say it doesn't, because in reality, maybe 10-15% of businesses do qualify for that. But as far as due diligence, a buyer, you got to put your buyer hat on. Hey, I'm looking to buy your business. Here's my financials. Oh, I'm writing off this. It's got to make sense, especially if they're holding paper and all that kind of stuff. But
What is holding paper?
Promissory note. So like we discussed, the $100,000, I want 50 down and I'll finance the additional 50. But as far as to get prepared, that's a huge thing. And then that opens up the door to visas. If somebody's coming from outside of the country and they want to invest in America and buy a business itself, there's a lot of that going on.
What type of interest rate do they do holdbacks on? Like if they're financing 50% of the business sale?
I've seen, 5-6%ish.
Even for private money?
Yeah.
Sounds really low for private money. So what about nail salons? Do you sell those?
Yeah, there's a couple of them we sold, sure.
Just wondering. What do they sell for usually?
Yeah, again, it's a multiple
Depends
of
on
the
their
bottom
sales,
line.
yeah.
It's
What is their average sales like in a year? I guess I should say average sales and net profit.
Depends how many chairs they have.
Yeah.
It's all about cheeks and the seats.
You know, is it booth rental? Is it commission? I mean, that goes into it as far as, hair salons, just beauty related. I mean, we sell a ton of them because if you just go on your main boulevard, you're going to see a hair salon every other plaza, right? Or a nail shop.
Yeah.
So there it's just the equipment. That's a barrier to entry for someone to actually open a nail salon. So that's why they would buy an existing one.
Well, just for the clientele, and like you said, goodwill.
Regulars. Yeah,
right?
That come in.
So why would you just there's four walls and create your own? I mean, there's a lot of time and energy and permits, and nobody wants to deal with it. So here's an existing business. Trade hands with the owner, and you're making money day one.
What about bars? Those are ones that are kind of hard to acquire, right? With the licensing and stuff, is it easy to sell those if they have a liquor license?
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, we've sold plenty of bars. But it depends with if you have a beer and wine license or if it's a true full liquor license.
Yeah.
Depends on the county too. In Hillsborough County, they're somewhat cheap. Pinellas County, they're pricey.
What businesses are hard to sell?
The ones where the stars have to truly align, right? So like that golf club fitting business, right? You got to know golf.
Got it.
You got to be an expert in that field.
So the
in order
super
to take over.
niche-y businesses are harder to sell. Is that fair?
That's fair, but that's when it comes to our marketing. I will use a real estate analogy. I mean, you have Zillow, you have Realtor.com. I mean, you're throwing it out to the world. You have your MLS. We do the same thing. As business brokers, we have our own MLS system. Mm-hmm. So there's brokers all over the place. So if they have that particular buyer that's looking into it, that's our network. And then as far as the external sites, there's BizBuySell, businessesforsale.com. There's a million of different avenues that we put out there. So we say, hey, if you have this skill set, let us know. But I've sold a ton of different owner-operator type businesses. There was a loan officer. There was a crown molding guy. Just one person. And so, the stars truly aligned in that.
So what prevents typically a business from selling?
A lot of different factors.
I'd say overvaluation being number one.
That's number one for sure. And so some people do choose to sell it themselves, and it's very difficult because they're going on Google. They're talking to their CPA, and they're saying, what's my business worth? And, it's kind of a big no-no because you can't do a rule of thumb. Like the real estate analogy. I mean, we have an MLS. So what's your industry? What are your sales? Let's go in and see what the other ones have sold for. Here's your multiple. Here's the average multiple, and that depends on other different factors itself. But MLS is kind of our Bible. This is what they say.
How long does it take you to do a business valuation?
It depends on how complex it is. Sometimes it could take a day. Sometimes it could take a week.
And then, so what does someone pay you to help be involved and help them sell their business?
We don't charge anything for a business valuation. So we meet with them. We'll sit down, we'll discuss the books and records, we'll go over the add backs, we'll recast those financials, find out what that true bottom line is. That's all free service. We put it up, we advertise it, we don't charge anything for that. It's just a success fee, just like you guys for real estate.
And is there any additional services provided? Do you do anything to help, let's say you help a buyer, right, purchase a new business? Do you do anything to help them in terms of strategic growth, like Leo was just talking about, or anything like that?
No, we have a different side that does all that. But that's when it comes to, you must have quality advisors. You got to have a great CPA. You got to have a great financial advisor. All of that is really important.
Yeah, I would agree. Bookkeepers are probably something you wish more small businesses had, right?
Uh-huh.
What else, Leo?
No, I'm excited.
You got that look.
I'm just excited. do you have any engineering businesses you're currently selling?
We'll see.
Oh, there you go. You might have a customer. Look at that.
Always in the market for that perfect home and that perfect business to buy.
Yeah.
Not even that perfect business to buy. That semi-broken business to buy.
I'll get you a non-disclosure. We'll talk.
Okay, fine. Send it to me during the break.
I'd love to talk about some of the key benefits that need to be outlined for a potential buyer, and some things they should be looking for. I guess we could probably table that for right after the break.
Do we have Adam coming up right after the break?
I think so, but we'll probably have time to squeeze that last question in.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, if you'd like to connect with Dave DiCamella with CBI Transworld Business Advisors, just call or text broker or business, we'll know who you're looking for, to 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Leo Kane here with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, trying to do a back bar deal during the break to buy an engineering firm. I think we think we might have found one.
Well, let's talk about that, actually.
We think we might have actually found one in Orlando. And this was interesting because it is listing a 2.5 book, which is traditionally what I see engineering firms going for.
And so let's talk about that. Before you can actually even give any information, the prospective buyer has to sign non-disclosure.
That's correct. Yeah, confidentiality is huge, right? Because we don't want employees, we don't want customers knowing the business is for sale.
Yeah.
Right. If the word gets out, it spreads like wildfire, and then it's typically a downward spiral. So confidentiality is number one in our book. And so any buyer that has an interest in a business, they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
I'm excited. I want to sign that NDA right now. Can I sign it digitally?
Yeah, you can.
Yes. But here's what I run into a lot.
He's going to give you an answer by 10 a.m.
You see this as a business broker representing a potential buyer is sometimes these listings aren't actually, the broker listing the business doesn't actually have the business. It's a marketing thing to attract people, or they're trying to market to the business itself. So they're like, I got you some buyers. Like, give me your listing. How often do you run into that?
Well, it's like real estate, right? So this particular one is not mine. I believe it's with my company itself in Orlando. But this one looks pretty good, I'll be honest with you.
But it's an actual business that is listed. It's not
This is listed for sale.
Yeah, but this is the difference between I've noticed as a consumer. This is the difference I've noticed between business brokers and real estate. As a real estate agent, you wouldn't list a house on the MLS. You don't have the ability to sell.
We're not allowed to. It's illegal.
But I've seen it happens more often than not on the business broker side.
No. No, we need authority to list the business for sale. Now, we might put you on a database. Let's just say you're looking for an engineer firm. I'll put you in our MLS. So if one pops up, just like MLS, I'm going to send it right out to you. So if one comes up that fits your criteria, it'll go right to your email.
And this brings
look at little Leo expanding.
Bring me to my next point, that not all business brokers are the same. There is several out there that will charge you $25,000 for the business valuation that you guys do at no cost.
Easily.
Yeah.
So, Dave, how do you choose a business broker? That's a better question.
Gosh.
How do you choose a business broker, and why should someone choose you?
Well, okay,
If you've got a business for sale, I want to buy it. That's how I'm going to choose them.
Okay, makes sense, right? You got a house for sale, and somebody wants to buy it.
Let me plug Transworld real quick, and then myself. So Transworld, they've been around 40 plus years, right? They've expanded exponentially. So now we're in almost 300 plus territories in the U.S. We're in 16 or 17 countries at this point. I mean, we're all over the world, literally. We're now the largest business brokerage system in the world, which is nice to say. I've been doing this over 10 years. I've sold a wide variety of different businesses out there. Yeah, like we talked about the manufacturing, distributing, and wholesale, and then the restaurants. I mean, there's just a ton out there. And so I have experience in most businesses, honestly.
And what did you do before that?
Real estate.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you sold regular...
Graduated college in business, University of Florida, and went right into real estate. And
did you do commercial, residential?
Residential. I worked for
properties?
new homes, and then I went into residential just a little bit.
Oh, look at that. What builder did you work for? Can I ask?
Lennar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell a lot. Leo's a big Lennar fan, right? I'm just kidding.
It was U.S. Home when I first started.
Yeah,
and they converted to
I have a
Lennar,
customer actually that still works for them. He's been with them for many, many, many years.
Cool.
So what made you want to get into the business buy and sell side?
I was content with real estate. I really was. Everything was going well. Had lunch with a buddy of mine who was a business broker, and I didn't know much about it. So sat down and had a chat, and it's a lot more business driven, obviously, with numbers and such like. Right. So we just had a chat and looked into it and converted.
I love it. All right, so let's answer that final question I asked you before, the key benefits that need to be outlined for a potential buyer. What type of things do you outline or highlight in a listing?
So first, obviously with that experience, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I have this kind of experience and I'm looking, like Leo, hey, I'm an engineer, right?
Yeah.
I don't want a restaurant. I
got the license and I know how to do it. I'm not trying to run a bagel shop.
Right, so there you go.
I'd love to run a bagel shop.
I'm sure you would.
It would save me money every Friday.
Yeah. But a lot of people, they're coming out of corporate America, or just wanting to get out of the industry. I mean, they've been doing something for 20 plus years. I just want to do something different. And so I'll ask them, I go, okay, well, what do you want to avoid? Are you a car guy or gal? No, let's take that out. You're not into restaurants? Okay, great. Are you a construction guy? So we just kind of weed through, because there's a ton of different categories, there's a ton of different opportunities. To say, okay, well, where are you looking? How much do you have? And let's, kind of filter it out.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. So, what else? What else should we leave with the listener before we wrap up this segment? Because we've talked about a lot. We've covered a lot in the last hour.
Sure. Well, we're essentially a free service with that success fee as far as commission. So nothing due up front, nothing due if we don't sell the business. It's just a handshake. So if you call a business broker like myself, I'll come meet with you in person, or we do a lot of virtual stuff nowadays. But valuation is key. And so you can't go based off of what Google tells you or what your advisors tell you. It's based on the MLS and what other ones have sold for. And so we'll sit down, we'll kind of spread out those financials and add back what's necessary, recast it out, find out what that true bottom line is for the new buyer itself, find a value for you, and put it out on the market confidentially.
What is the broker fee to sell a business? Does the buyer or seller pay that? Seller pays it?
The seller pays it.
Okay.
Yep, it's 12%.
Okay, so 12%, and what all goes into that other than the listing, the marketing, the paperwork, and everything you get to the finish line?
Yeah, everything in between. So, I mean, we take it literally from A to Z, and we'll go ahead and advertise it on tons of websites, MLS, social media, all that. Then once we find an inquiry, which we'll get a ton of inquiries, depending on the business itself, but we'll have them sign a non-disclosure. We'll take them through that process itself. We'll deal with the buyer and say, okay, do you need financing? What's your background financially? If they need a loan or things like that, we'll have contacts, tools in our tool belt for that. And if they're Visa, they're coming from another country, we'll have different contacts for that as well.
Curious question about the SBA loans. I know you said SBA is kind of like giving away money, right? They're making it really easy and really attractive, and they're waving that little shiny carrot in front. What percentage of people try to get an SBA loan but don't qualify for whatever reason?
Okay, let's talk about SBA just real briefly. And it's a great program, and they are giving away 6 months in principal and a guarantee fee. I mean, it's crazy. Why not? But there's not a ton of opportunities with that SBA that pre-qualify. So that's when we entertain. So you have to have great books and records. It's all, you're dealing with a bank here. It's not a human being, right? So they're going to look at the past 3 years of tax returns and maybe add back a couple of things. Where we'll get to the nitty gritty. You have your personal cell phone. You're writing off meals and entertainment, or you traveled to Europe last year. It's not business related, so we have the opportunity to add it back.
But it is business related, air quotes.
In your case, it depends. But a new owner can make that decision whether it is or it isn't, right? And add that money back into the bottom line.
Right. But if you're going to a conference, I mean, that's business related. It truly is. If you're buying meals for your employees, that is business related. So we'll have to dissect it and see what's truly personal and business.
I've had fun hanging out with you, Dave. How about you, Leo? Yeah?
I'm reserving judgment until I receive the NDA.
Sound good.
Hey.
All right, this is Tampa Home Talk, joined by Dave D. Camella. Thanks so much for joining us with CBI Transworld Business Advisors. Stick around. We got the Vent Doctor in the house next for Tampa Home Talk, hour number 2. Stick around. We'll be back in just a flash.